business. We call them partners. John Lewis stores now stand at 32. We have 28 full-line department stores with around 350,000 product lines. 4 new format John Lewis at home stores. Our Waitrose supermarket stands around 240 now. Probably what you may not know about us is that we also have a production unit in Lancashire, which makes our duvets, pillows, weaves curtains for sale in our John Lewis stores. And we also have a Letford estate, which is 4,000 acres in Hampshire, and that has a farm, a plant nursery, and also a water garden. And again, that provides crops, meat, and produce for sale in our Waitrose stores. In addition to that, we've got 5 holiday centres, hotels around the UK, in some fantastic locations like Ambleside in the Lake District and Brownsea Island off Poole. And through those we provide subsidised holidays for our partners, so really helping our partners to have affordable holidays and obviously promoting UK travel as well. So our founder's vision for the business was really, he believed that a successful business is a business that's powered by its people and its principles. So our 70,000 partners, co-owners in the business, sharing not just the profits but the benefits and success of our business. And really that's sort of at the essence of, I guess, that culture, that spirit we call it, is really the heart of what makes the John Lewis partnership different. And I mean, we're commercial and competitive like any other business, but I guess our co-ownership model gives us 3 distinct advantages. The first is taking a more longer-term view. So we invest carefully, we expect a good return on that investment, but we're also making those investment decisions for the long-term interests of our partners. So rather than just trying to satisfy outside stakeholders, it's really like looking after our business for our partners in this generation, but also for the future as well. Through co-ownership, we really kind of maximise the value of that co-ownership and what it means to those individuals. So providing worthwhile, satisfying employment really generates loyalty and pride, we believe, in our business. And we work hard to really harness the passion and enthusiasm that our partners have for the different way that we do business. They have a say in how our business is run and also feel that their contributions are valued. And finally, we can act in the interests of society. As a long-term employer, we can build mutually beneficial partnerships with our customers, our suppliers, and also behave as a good corporate citizen by investing in our local communities as well. And I think with the sales figures that we've had and the success that we've had, our model shows that putting an emphasis on values doesn't necessarily mean you're any less profitable or any less resilient. So when our founder set up the business, he wanted it to be commercial, but he also wanted it to be democratic. So we have a number of different groups at a governance level. We have our Partnership Council, which is elected by our partners, and is really there to hold our chairman and our group executive to account. They're supported by a network of councils, committees and forums who really provide opinion, back up the business, to really kind of get involved in how our business is going and to really challenge it if they don't think we're doing things in the right way. And ultimately that group has the power to sack our chairman if they feel that he's not doing a good enough job. And thankfully that hasn't happened to date. So then we have the chairman and the board who are really responsible for setting the strategic direction for the partnership. And they're supported by our divisional boards in John Lewis and Waitrose, who are really there to do the day-to-day management and set the strategic direction for those businesses. And recently, we've had lots of committees and councils, I guess, from a sustainability perspective, but we revisited those a couple of years ago and decided it was time that we refresh those arrangements. And we set up a new responsible business group, which now lies at the heart of our governance for CSR. And that, we were really fortunate in that the chairman is now championing that group and chairs that, and that we have senior representatives from across the business sitting on that. So that includes the personnel director, comms director, employment strategy, myself on CSR, and we also have 2 divisional board sponsors as well as our champion on environment, which is our property services director. And that group's really there to provide the strategic direction on corporate social responsibility. It monitors and challenges our performance, encourages us to stretch and look further for improvements, and ultimately also provides assurance back up to the partnership board. That's supported by a number of steering groups focusing on different elements of our CSR strategy, so whether that's environment, community, the more product supplier customer piece, and also the kind of partner strategy piece as well. And I think our environment steering group is a real example of success, because it's been really fantastic getting the right people around the table, the right level of commitment from the top, and that's really galvanised kind of activity and momentum behind our environmental agenda, and really pushed us and stretched us to say, what more can we do? How can we look more future focused, more longer term, and be much more bolder in our aspirations? So I guess what's been really successful about these different groups, the fact that we've had the chairman sitting on the responsible business group sends a really clear signal out to the business that this is an important agenda and that he sees it as an integral part of the way that we do business. I think we've always had inherently people have been committed to CSR in the business. It's not been a hard sell. But I think the refresh of the governance arrangements also signalled that this was time to take things to a different level, that we really had to find a better way to really embed this into every aspect of our business, and also make sure that sustainability issues really are kind of considered alongside the financial and the commercial. So we've clarified and simplified our commitments to sustainability at the partnership level. We've refocused on the material issues. We've challenged ourselves to be more, bolder and more aspirational. We've challenged ourselves to better communicate what we do as a business in this area, and we're also working hard to really make it a reality that we're embedding this into every aspect of our business. And we've challenged ourselves to be more strategic and longer term. And I think as well, we sort of talked earlier on about low-hanging fruit, and I think there are still areas of low-hanging fruit for us out there. But it's also given us a route to kind of tackle some of the more difficult and more challenging issues. In a sense, by having these groups, there's nowhere to hide now. We can't sort of sit back and say, it's too difficult, it's too challenging, because actually at all the different levels within the organisation, we've got the right people around the table to start thinking through more creatively, how can we really solve some of these difficult and challenging issues. And if they can't get resolved at one level, we've then got a route to take it to a higher level. And throughout all this process, we've also used critical external organisations to prompt, challenge, provide input to help us educate people within our business and help them to understand the issues. And they've also supported and worked with us on specific programmes of activity. So to a few examples. The first is obviously carbon is a huge area for us as a business, and we've been working on reducing our operational carbon footprint for a number of years now. We've measured it since 2001. We've seen a 30% reduction in our emissions since that time relative to sales. And I think there's been lots of activities where we've made improvements in terms of things like energy efficiency, vehicle efficiency, reducing the waste that we produce. But it basically wasn't enough. We needed to go further. And given that our business is set to double its size, and we've now done some modelling work to really understand what that growth means in terms of emissions. And as you can see, we're estimating 60% growth in our emissions by 2020 if we do nothing now to kind of continue to curb those emissions. So a significant challenge ahead of us. And we've really debated long and hard, I guess, at the different levels to say, how can we really kind of start to decouple growth from emissions? How can we kind of continue to grow as a business but find a way to really deliver substantial savings? And I suppose we started with our environment steering group, which has really championed and led the way on this. And it's really been a case of getting people together from all across our business, not just the managers that work in particular areas like energy or waste, but also working with other sort of departments like our retail operations, to start working through what the challenges are and start kind of trying to find some of the solutions. And I guess what we're trying to bring together then is this sum of all that different activity, whether it be on energy efficiency, waste, transport, refrigeration, biodiversity, or looking at sort of building sustainability principles into our new builds and stores, not just in some stores, but in all new stores stores and refurbishment projects that we have. And obviously there's been a strong driver from legislation, but also in terms of saving money and creating efficiencies as well. And I think the next stage of this is not just about engaging targeted audiences within our business, but how do we engage the broader population? How do we help our partners to really understand the environmental issues and challenges that we face as a business? And how do we help them to understand what it is that they need to do differently? Because I think there's a lot that's going on, but whenever we talk about some of the issues that we face, individuals say, well, what can I do? There's plenty of enthusiasm and commitment there. And as you can imagine from a co-owned business, that passion and enthusiasm is there in our partners. What we need to try and do is find a way to harness that. So we're looking at rolling out a programme of activities next year. And this is about sustained engagement and a sustained programme, not a one-off campaign or a communications exercise. I think we've had campaigns in the past on things like energy. Great for a while, raises the profile, but things soon fizzle out. So this is how do you actually get that fundamental change and shift in behaviour. So we're looking at getting the right policies, procedures, guidance, tools, facilities in place as a starter, because without that things will fall over as soon as you start doing the education piece. We're then going to overlay that with some real clear, simple messaging and education awareness raising materials, looking at how we can use our benefits and rewards to really incentivise that change in behaviour. And also looking not just at work, so what can partners do to help us deliver our ambitious targets, but how can we help our partners in their home lives as well? Because actually, if they start to do things in their home lives, they'll bring those personal values to work, and then that helps us in other ways too. And then how can we create platforms that will really help to share success? Because I think there's a real richness in the stories and experiences. And I was actually at our Herbert Parkinson site this week, and they've already set up on their own back a resource efficiency group. They've decided what it's going to be called. People have volunteered themselves for it because they feel passionate about this area. And already they're starting to make some fantastic changes at a local level in terms of things like waste and energy usage. And I think that passion and enthusiasm really starts to be infectious. And there will be your die-hard sort of cynics that are still in our business. And it's hopefully you sort of shift over time and they become the minority. And then we hopefully get to the point which is where this becomes part of our nature and day-to-day. So that's environment. Community is another area that we focused on. Our partners have always been involved in decision-making. Ultimately, this is their money that we're investing in our communities. So our programmes, John Lewis, 80% of our community activity is driven out of our local branches. So they choose the issues, understand the issues, and focus their attention on things that are most important to them, their customers, and also their communities. Waitrose Community Matters, our green token scheme, has been hugely successful, engaging not just our partners but our customers as well. So customers put forward charities for support or community groups. Our partners select 3 of those each month, and then customers vote which charity they would like to receive a portion of £1,000 each month. And it's been a great way to really engage people. Waitrose are now looking at the next stage of that because there's been a clear signal back from customers. Actually, it's not just about money as well. They'd really like to get involved in some way. So is there something through our scheme that we can really facilitate more involvement with partners and customers? Golden Jubilee Trust is our flagship volunteering scheme, and that was set up at the request of our partners. In the Golden Jubilee, they decided they wanted to celebrate it by investing £5 million of partnerships money and setting up that scheme. And it's a fantastic scheme because any partner, any level, any seniority can spend 6 to full-time or part-time, a period of up to 6 months in a UK-registered charity, really matching their skills and contributing, again, not money, but sort of skills that will really benefit charitable needs. And then we've been doing a bit of a review because whilst we've got lots of activity, our challenge, and I think somebody touched on it this morning, was it's all a bit fragmented and we need to find a way to sort of really put a wrap around it. And also a lot of the stuff's grown up organically. So actually, how can you pull that together and really make sure that all of that activity is adding up to something that delivers value to communities, to our partners and to our business? And I think that will make it much easier to for us to link back to our core business but also help us in terms of our internal and external communications. So as part of that, we've consulted partners, asked their opinion, what works well, what works less well, what would they like to see more of. We've talked to our partners in the community, asked them for their views as well, what can we do better. And we've talked to other companies as well to look at successful programmes out there and what could be learned from those. As well as working with the business and the communities, corporate citizenship who've helped us with this piece of work. And also talk to customers to get their kind of ideas and feedback. And we're taking all of that learning which will help us shape our programmes moving forward, and there's some clear themes and observations coming out of that. One of those areas being that 80% of our partners want more opportunities to volunteer. So we need to find a way across our business that our partners get a consistent experience and that they can, not just through certain schemes, but we develop some more flexible ways for them to get involved. So that's an example where stakeholder engagement is really helping us to shape our sort of future agenda on CSR. And then finally, it's really around our partner strategy. And there's a piece of work which has been really a signal from our chairman about setting a clearer direction for our partners. So really trying to understand who our partners are, how their profile will change as we grow as a business, and what aspects of membership are most important to them. And it's also about the experience. We want to make sure that their experience as a partner within our business is increasingly consistent, relevant and rewarding, and that we can kind of really help them to demonstrate responsibilities as co-owners of our business. And that's led us to developing 3 commitments that you see up on the screen, which is about building principles powered by our partnerships powered by our principles, creating real influence over our working lives, and taking responsibility for business success. And of course, it's great you can come up with a set of principles on the screen, but how do we really bring those to life? And we're doing that in a number of ways. One, through our leadership team, so really instilling the behaviours and the leadership behaviours that we expect of those as part of their kind of personal development plans and the leadership development programmes that we have in place. Also helping them in terms of how they really communicate the importance of these commitments and what they mean to partners across the business. Then there's the more bottom-up stuff, so how can we really get partners engaged? How can we bring this to life? And that's through some of the stories that happen at a local level, and they're working through lots of different ways that we can really communicate and bring those to all partners and share those across the business. And I think for me, one of the things that always demonstrates the extra mile that our partners go is at Christmas time. So when with the poor weather conditions, our partners were out there kind of shoveling snow, clearing the roads so that our trucks can get out. They're there to make sure that we can kind of trade for as long as possible. And when customers get stranded in our stores, they're there to kind of use the beds and also kind of have the TVs on and provide a bit of comfort. So it may not seem much to some people, but I think it really demonstrates to me the dedication and passion our partners have. And then finally, it's about embedding it into business practices. So every touch point of our partners' lives, whether it's through recruitment, induction, development, the democratic channels and the rewards and benefits that we have. And this is a key pillar, obviously, of our sustainability strategy as well. So this gives us an opportunity to really thread sustainability issues through all of the fabric of our personnel processes. So in induction, in recruitment, so it becomes part and parcel with that difference of our business. And I think if we can do that, then we can really empower our kind of partners as advocates for change. And I think that's the starting point for us. And then I think if you get them as advocates and talking about this whole agenda in a confident way, they then reach other stakeholders such as our customers, our suppliers and others. So it's a whistle-stop tour, but hopefully that gives you some food for thought. And obviously happy to take any questions as part of the panel session.